All day, nigga.
Hey, what's up? Hello, it's your astrology homegirl Q back with another astrological update for you. This week, we're starting the month off strong actually with the Mercury retrograde for the next 24 days. Mercury in the sign of Aries will be in this retrograde period, and I'm sure you all have already been feeling the rumblings and grumblings of that in your life. We do have some transits between Venus and Neptune. The sun is going to be, connecting with other planets as well this week. So lots of energy to sift through, to work through, but nothing that we cannot handle, as I always say. And as always, if you are interested in working with me one-on-one, or you're just wanting to find me in other places and spaces, definitely check out my links to all my social, my blog pages, my websites below in the description box if you would like to work with me one-on-one. That being said, let's hop into this week because there's a lot to get through, a lot of energy, positive and challenging, and I'm excited. I am excited. It's spring season. Happy birthday to all the Aries babies. We are now officially in the month of April. Let's go. So Monday, April 1st is April Fool's Day. It's not going to feel that much like a joke though with the transits that we have happening today. We definitely start the day off strong. We have Mercury stationing retrograde where Mercury will be for the next 24 days. Mercury is our planet of communication, of short distance travel, the way that we teach ourselves, teach others, the way that we learn, perceive the world around us, the way that we gather data, make logical sense of it, and then create the world around us. That is Mercury in a nutshell, really quickly, right? In the sign of Aries, it's going to be a little hot-headed, it's going to be a little impulsive. We may not be checking everything correctly and just moving on a go, go, go. During retrograde, we will feel compelled because retrograde essentially is when the planet slows its motion down. It's no longer moving at the same or familiar pace that it normally does. So it's so slow that it appears to be moving backwards. So everything having to do with Mercury, our communication styles, the way that we travel, so like our cars, our bikes, the lights for the road systems and things of that nature, anything that we use for communication, laptops, computers, TVs, internet, all these things tied to Mercury, you might find that they have hiccups. They're moving a little slower than usual. You're not able to process things on an intellectual level. Communications aren't very clear. This is Mercury in retrograde, essentially. In the sign of Aries, it's going to be looking as though you're saying things impulsively. You're having these impulsive reactions that are aggressive or intense and kind of spit fire in a way. You're going to want to try to work on balancing or providing space for patience. The practice of patience for the next 24 days is going to be something that we're all experiencing, but it'll be particular to where Aries falls in your natal chart. But in general, Mercury retrograde in the sign of Aries, we're going to be wanting to revisit, revise, and just like edit whatever projects, plans that we've been working on. This isn't the best time. Mercury retrogrades aren't the best time to release creative projects or to start new projects where you'll have to learn a new skill. Mercury has to do a skill set, so like it's a little bit more difficult to have the successes we might be hoping for. If it's completely unavoidable, it is what it is. However, if you can put it off for the next 24 days or just really slowly, patiently work on whatever it is you would like to release, just give yourself as much grace as possible. Give those around you as much grace as possible. This energy is going to be a bit doubled down on, or you'll feel it heavy because we also have the moon in the last quarter phase in the sign of Capricorn squaring the sun. So the moon being in the sign of Capricorn off rip, we're feeling responsible, we're feeling mature. We have obligations, people, okay? We have to get done the hard work of it all. Squaring the sun, we're going to feel some tension between our personal desires and, again, our obligations and responsibilities. And we're really being brought this opportunity, or like we're being told that we need to focus on practical measures. Logical, intentional planning, with the Mercury retrograde telling us to slow down, think about things, revisit things. The Capricorn moon is like, yeah, I know you feel this type of way. I know you have these desires, these wants, these goals, but you need to start making moves and planning accordingly to make sure that they align with your goals, to make sure your actions, your landscape, your emotional setup, what are you doing to align yourself with your actual goals? So this is a great time to release the things that no longer serve you, to allow yourself room and clarity during this very confusing possible time for us, okay? Oh, we also have the moon sextiling Neptune later this day. That's going to help us really be able to reflect and dig deep into our own inner wisdom. We're going to not want to focus so much on the insight and the input of those and the stimuli around us. We're going to be very reflective, very introspective, very reserved in the attempt to find some grounding, find some understanding, really get some creative perspective on how we can change our lives and shift it in the direction that we need to make sure that we are attaining our goals, that we are setting up the boundaries for ourselves to manifest the highest level of frequency that exists for who we are, if that makes sense, without getting too woo-woo about it. So yes, a lot happening April 1st, April Fools. Like I said, it's a jokey day, but we may not be feeling the energies of trickster, jokey, jovial conversation and interaction. The zodiacs that will be most affected or might feel this really heavy are obviously the ones that are ruled by Mercury, so Gemini and Virgo, but also all the cardinal signs as well. So we have Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. So if you have any major planets in those signs, definitely look to those houses or those planets to see just how they might be affected. But especially if you are in Aries, Gemini, or Virgo, you will feel Mercury's retrograde affecting you pretty heavy for the next 24 days. Now Tuesday, April 2nd, we have a lot of action from the moon and not so much the other planets. We start the day off quite hopeful and optimistic with the moon in a trine with Jupiter. However, energies will shift a couple of hours later when the moon squares Chiron, really bringing up any type of like insecurities or self-criticisms or doubts that we've been working on or have been ignoring, and like we've been aware of it. We are now presented this opportunity to deal with them accurately. We might be in this energy for some time that morning. However, the moon trining Uranus around 10:30 a.m. is really going to provide us the support and the stability to gain a grander, more distanced perspective on the situation so that we can handle and plan accordingly to what the situation is calling of us, essentially. That unfortunately will not last long because Luna, she moving and shaking that day, okay? So she will move from that, the trine with Uranus into a square with Eris, creating some irritability in us. Then she will square Mercury, creating some confusion and conflict around our ability to accurately assess and communicate what it is that we're experiencing and feeling with others. If we are around other people, we may not have the ability to do it with ourselves. That may be the concern. So we're seeing there's just a lot of agitation with our emotions this day. At the end of the day, we're going to have a break from this with the moon sextiling Venus and Neptune. So there's going to be some reprieve, some relief from this information that we've just been mulling over throughout the day or really having wash over us. So that's lovely. That's lovely to know that we'll be able to go to bed on a lighter note than what we've been kind of experiencing throughout the day. Wednesday, April 3rd, we have two transits that are on my mind at least. The moon ingressing into the sign of Aquarius and conjoining Pluto, really providing us an opportunity to get down to some shadow work. That's kind of the energy, the general energy of this transit. Very shadow work oriented, is asking us or providing us the opportunity and chance to dig deep into our own emotional psyche and landscape and understanding of who we are. We might find that we're wanting to reach out and get some therapeutic support or help. Psychological work on a very profound and transformative level will be cathartic, but intense. Intense transit is kind of what that energy is. Now we also have Venus in the sign of Pisces, lovely energy, conjoining Neptune, so another conjunction here in the sign of, or in the planet, with the planet Neptune. That's very exciting in the sense that Venus, the planet of love, beauty, intimacy, finances, values, is going to be in the sign of Pisces, where she's exalted and conjoining Pisces co-ruler Neptune, the planet of dreams and illusions and mysteries, and is going to create for us this time of very heightened romanticism, idealistic thinking. You might find that you are empathetically in tune with other people's emotions without even trying. You are spiritually just like led or intuitively led. Your actions, your mindset, the world around you just seems to wash over you in a very beautifully like rose haze type of way. It's very easy to lean into the beauty of everything right now. On the flip side of that, there is a heightened chance and possibility that folks who are scammers, are deceivers, are energy readers and abusers of any type of way could pick up on this energy, could use this energy to confuse you, to provide illusions in a situation, or have you feeling delusional about certain situations, about yourself, about projects, things that you have been working on, their creative ventures, all of these things that you might be very excited about. Make sure, because Mercury retrograde is in Aries, that you are still taking things slow. Don't get tied up too quickly by the words that people are saying to you, the things that they're presenting to you. Allow for things to kind of play out, for some of the fog and the mystery of things to disperse, so that you can get the full idea of what it is that you're committing yourself to, that you're placing value into, right? Venus, again, like I said, has to do with your finances as well, not just relationships, not just art. So be aware, be careful, be cautious, use discernment. The opposite end of Pisces energy is Virgo. So like the opposing, balancing, harmonious energy for Pisces is Virgo. Discernment and analyzation, okay? They will be quite helpful to help balance the spiritual intensity of what this transit can mean on the opposite end. But for me, like I said, I'm a person of discernment, so I don't worry, I don't fret. I'm very excited about this transit. It can mean a lot of abundance in a lot of different ways, beautiful ways for a lot of people. So be aware of how it's moving in your chart. Your energy is in the Pisces house. Venus and Neptune will be conjoining there. Thursday, April 4th, we have the start of the day. Really, it's a little intense, I'll say that. We left off with Venus and Neptune conjoining, so that energy is so dreamy, so lovely, so romantic, all the things. Now, this morning we have the moon in a semi-square to Aries, really bringing like an air of conflict, strife, struggle, personal resentment possibly being brought up. We're finding that like this very self-centered me first energy is like clashing with the aggressive and assertiveness of Mars, really creating this like atmosphere where like things can pop off quite fast if we're feeling personal about it, if we feel like things are unjust, if we're feeling like we need to express ourselves, that things need to be said on our benefit, on our behalf. Maybe I'm a say it type of energy. And that can just make us get into all types of situations and dramas that we don't need to. So definitely take things slow early that morning. Maybe like be a little reclusive if it's possible. Avoid any type of just like sporadic response or action taken in any degree. This is a good transit though for helping us step into a courageous effort to change our lives, to address properly what it is our hangups are in the truest sense. This is also supported by the transit of the sun conjoining the North Node that day, where in the sign of Aries it's supposed to be very I am, like the truth, the identity, the self, the creative, intellectual knowing and expression of the light. That's Aries, right? This very catalytic, like this is the start of something new. We are finding that we're being brought to the realization and the challenge of accepting a spiritual a spiritual path that is completely in line with who we truly are at our core. We are being encouraged to do the hard things, to make the hard assessments about ourselves, and then to set up a plan. And not so much Aries energy is doing that, but Aries energy is like sparking the knowing in which like I need to get my life together, I need to get back on track, and these are the things that are going to realign me with my spiritual purpose and identity and expression of who I really want and need to be. So the sun conjoining the North Node, such a positive energy. Definitely lean into that. We do have the moon ingressing into the sign of Aquarius, where she will then immediately square Jupiter and Uranus. And this energy will be not so rebellious. It could be rebellious. It has a high possibility of being rebellious, that's for sure. But it's more so like being impassioned and like ready to go for the things that like we feel very, very true to, like the causes that we care about, the communities that are disrupted by the unjust world that we live in, right? You're feeling quite prepared to take these things on in a very irrational way, potentially. So definitely, again, don't move on impulse. Mercury retrograde is still in full effect. So like, take that with cautious. Like just get all the pieces of the puzzle. I'm going to keep repeating this. Make sure that you're gathering all the pieces of the puzzle before you act, before you respond, okay? This is a time to take things slow. So when you're feeling a sense of urgency, the moon squaring, Uranus, the moon squaring Jupiter in the sign of Aquarius. If you're feeling this angst, if you're feeling anxiety building up in the body and you feel like you just need to act, get into a physical activity where it's like exercise, running, boxing, knitting, where you're like putting out the energy, but you're not imploding or exploding on somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So definitely energies to be aware of. We do have Venus ingressing into the sign of Aries before we wrap this all up. We have Venus in the sign of Aries, the planet of love, beauty, art, intimacy, the things we value, our finances, shifting into the fiery sign of Aries. It's going to be catalytic. We're going to see things in our relationships change, in our artistic projects change, our financial possible like responsibilities or relationships to the finances that we have and hold change. Is going to be revising how we show up in relationships, how we communicate in relationships, how we value relationships, how we really creatively engage with and be in relationship to all of these things having to do with Venus. So definitely, again, allow yourself to sit back and kind of like analyze how things shift and change as these transits come up. You'll be able to see as Venus moves from Pisces into Aries, how that energy, how your gumption within your relationships kind of change, the way that other people are moving within their personal relationships may change, may take on a new fiery, creative, very childlike energy and joy. Aries is a very fresh, invigorating type of energy. So definitely lean into that. Aries is fun energy. I like it. So let's get through the days because we got a couple more to go. But that's Thursday, April 4th. We have Venus ingressing into Aries, and the sun conjoining the North Node might be the biggest, like most pivotal transits of the day, I would say. Now, Friday, April 5th, we don't have a whole lot going on in the stars for us. The moon is ingressing into the sign of Pisces, really bringing back some of that like romantic and dreamy energy of Wednesday. And then around 10 p.m. that night, the moon will be conjuncting Mars, really heightening that romantic energy and like the actions you might want to take behind those romantic feelings. That being said, I would caution just to be a little careful in your steps and your wording and your actions as well overall. Babes, be careful. Mercury's in retrograde and we have Mercury semi-squaring Mars at the end of the day. So like arguments may arise, conflict may ensue if there's like a little bit of a misunderstanding. If you can keep your eyes on the prize, there's a lot of romantic energy in the air, but high possibility of misunderstandings. So take that as you will. Saturday, April 6th, we don't have a whole lot going on again, but we do have one transit that we might want to keep our eye out on. We start the day off feeling a little heavy, a little off, waking up on the wrong side of the bed, possibly. Emotions just seem a little bit dense or like heavy. Okay, we have the moon conjoining Saturn right off rip, but as the day smooths over, we do have Venus sextiling Pluto, which will be real cute. Okay, we're going to have them in this very creative aspect, bringing out any like relationships or projects that we have that bring out the deep passions of who we are. We'll be able to refocus whatever like disgruntled feelings that we wake up with, and focus more so on the things that like create foundational cathartic change in us, possibly addressing some of the feelings that that moon Saturn conjunction was bringing up in us and having us reflect on. So definitely be aware of how you might be able to use the sextile to pivot or recenter your focus and gaze from whatever insecurities, issues, challenges that were brought up this morning. Now, we do have the Sun and Sirius, I believe, in a square to one another. So they're reminding us to keep good personal boundaries. So even though you may be like, and this doesn't have to be with people, this could be a project, a job that you've decided to take on, a responsibility, an obligation, that though it brings you a lot of joy and like passion and ignites you in new ways, make sure you're not falling into it so fully that you're losing yourself. Definitely be aware that like you need to set perimeters for yourself. Boundaries are for yourself, not for other people or things. So just be aware that like that needs to be intentional on your part. But otherwise, definitely lean into that sextile. Allow yourself to creatively address some of these things and to create and reveal new truths to you that are life-changing. So yeah. Sunday is April 7th. We have made it to the end of the week. And even though it is Sunday, we have a lot of moon energy happening. We have the moon shifting into the sign. Well, first, the moon will be in the sign of Pisces, conjoining Neptune. Is really dreamy. It's really wonderful. Again, a lot of romance, a lot of illusions and delusions starting off the day. But honestly, we probably won't be awake for most folks. And then the moon will shift into the sign of Aries, really shifting that dreamy energy into a more fiery nature. Again, we will wake up to this energy. We probably won't be awake to actually engage with it. The moon will then, like I said, make an aspect to Pluto and Venus within the day, really helping us like focus on our creative like ideas and ventures and projects. It's a really lovely time. Let's see. Oh, that's what it is. So really once the moon, so with the moon sextiling Pluto and conjoining Venus, we might find that we're feeling a little risky, we're feeling a little creative, a little artsy, a little childlike too in nature. So definitely like, I know it's Sunday, but if you're feeling spontaneous, if you're feeling like just doing something new with your finances, with your relationships, with a project, with an aesthetic that you've been like mulling over, do it, try it. Don't go too crazy though, because I'm not gonna keep playing with y'all. It's Mercury retrograde, so things are slower. Okay, they may be feeling like they're moving in reverse. So like right now may not be the time to dye your hair fire engine red. Okay, you might have fun thinking about it, but I would say instead hop on Photoshop and play around with some pictures and like do what you can with that to just like mull over the idea of what it might really look like for you to dye your hair red or get that piercing or tattoo on your face. Like just think about it, but have fun. This is a fun transit, I would say. But really that's it for the day, for the week. We have a lot of transits, we do, but I don't think that this is energy that is too heavy or scary or just like confusing. Mercury retrograde will definitely be taking its effects. We really feel it going into Mercury retrograde as things are just like starting to break down, it feels like. But once we kind of get the messages, the omens, the symbols that we're supposed to receive during this time, it becomes so much easier to just breathe through. So that is my advice for the week. Breathe through it, take a step back, gain some perspective, ask for insight, wait to get all the puzzle pieces, and you should be good. We're all gonna be good. It's a wonderful, wonderful week. We've made it through the first week of April. Let's get it. Let's go. Thank you, as always, for spending time with me here. I so appreciate your comments, your shares, your likes, your subscribes. Thank you. Subscriptions. For the folks that are subscribing to the channel, I appreciate it. The channel appreciates it. The community appreciates it. And if you would like to work with me one-on-one, definitely check out the description box below. Always happy to hear from y'all. That being said, y'all have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.